What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of the Hail Mary. Big time episode. We had a lot that happened within the sports world, baseball, obviously football. We'll touch on what's going on with Michigan football. There is a lot that we have to cover today. Before we do all that, big shout out to Underdog, big shout out to Sleeper. Check them out. Use the code HMM. Make sure you're hitting that like button and that subscribe button as well if you like the podcast. And yeah, I kind of just want to jump right into it. I don't want to have any fluff that's going on. I have some segments today. We have the You Tell Me segments, we have the Writer Cook segments, and then I really want to talk about what is going on with this entire Michigan situation with obviously their head coach Sharon Moore getting arrested and fired, and now they don't have a coach and all their recruits are leaving. I want to talk about that. But let's start with our first segment today, which is You Tell Me. So what we learned is that Pete Alonso is going to the Baltimore Orioles. Not even learned. What we've heard is that he is going to the Baltimore Orioles. So when Baltimore paid Pete Alonso, people were going back and forth whether this is a power move by them or whether this is a panic move by them. Because the Orioles have always been that guy, that type of guy who acts like they're rich because they hang out with rich friends, but they're broke. Playing in the AL East, you're with the Yankees, you're with the Toronto, you're with the Red Sox, Tampa Bay sucks, but you get what I'm saying. They hang out with rich friends and they act like they're rich, but they're not. This is finally them, people were saying, them making an actual power move. And because with them, it's always been the future, the process, and always, oh, well, we're just happy to be here and we're going to compete. We're going to be that scrappy team that everybody in the AL East doesn't want to play. But not anymore. They are now the team that made the big move. They are now the team that actually has big expectations now. So we're going to talk about both sides of this coin where people are saying, yes, I love it. This rules. And people are saying, hey, this is a bit of a mess of a signing. And I could see both sides from it. And we're going to talk about both sides. But what I'm telling you right now is that Baltimore is saying, hey, we are actually making moves. We're not disputing that. Baltimore is saying to the rest of the league, hey, we're not a team that you can pick on anymore. We're not a team that you're just going to get all of our best players. Now, whether you think that it's a good move or a bad move is what we're really going to talk about. So, on side A right now, what we're learning is that, this is a middle of the order hammer type guy that the Orioles are getting. And this is the type of guy that I feel like they actually need. They have all of these good young prospects. And I know that they were waiting for them to get better, waiting for them to turn into adults per se. You can't really do that in the MLB because if it doesn't work out, then you're kind of screwed. What's going on right now is they're going to let these guys mature. They're going to let them get better at the MLB level, but they have a security blanket now in Pete Alonso where, yes, if one of these young guys has a slump, they got Pete Alonso in the middle of the lineup to kind of back them all up, to kind of push them. You need players in this division who are going to spray the ball all over the yard. And they have that, but it's inconsistent. Now you're getting a guy like Pete Alonso who had 120 ribbies. He had 38 home runs. He's a masher. This is exactly what they're trying to do. And they picked a lane. They're not saying, hey, we're going to let these guys progress. If it doesn't work, then we're just going to kind of rebuild. No, they said to the rest of the league, we're going to let these young guys get better, but we're also going to get better as a team in the process. You guys aren't going to bully us anymore. So now they're not going to be able to hide behind the, hey, we're young and things are going to get uncomfortable for us. No, they're not going to hide behind that anymore. They are now going to be like, hey, we got Pete Alonso, and this is going to put us over the top. 5 years, $155 million for Pete Alonso. And this is just not a cute little rental player, get him for 1 year and see what happens. No, this is a brand new identity for them. They got a guy who is not just a good at bat guy. This is somebody that pitchers have to circle. You have to pitch around him or you're going to pay. And hopefully with Pete Alonso in the lineup, he's going to boost everybody up, which we'll see what happens in the coming years. I made a video saying that if they don't win at least one AL pennant in the next 3 years, I'm not going to say it's a catastrophic failure, but it's going to be a letdown in my opinion. So a quick reset is, it's not if you like Alonso, it's about whether you think this is a good move for Baltimore. So The AL East, again, they don't care about the vibes of your team. Oh, hey, we're just playing with our young prospects and we're gonna hope things get better. No, those teams, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, will eat you alive. What matters is whether you can win in October, and that's what Pete Alonso is looking to do, is help them win in October. We go to the flip side now, and people saying that this is kind of a mess. Yes, Pete Alonso is a good player. Yes, he could obviously mash in Baltimore. And yes, he's going to obviously make the team better. But overall, it's kind of a mess because people were saying that they paid more for a name. They paid more for what's on the back of the jersey, and it kind of creates a roster logjam right now. They gave all of their money to one guy, kind of putting all of their eggs in one basket. Like, hey, Pete, you figure it out. You are the middle of the order guy. We need you day in and day out to play well because these young guys are going to have their slumps. And they're saying that it's going to create weird lineups. And what's going to happen is if Pete Alonso has a bad day and the rest of the lineup has a bad day, it's not going to be good. They are putting way too much stock in Pete Alonso when they could have went out and got a few pieces who aren't as good as Pete Alonso, but they could have got two guys who make up for one Pete Alonso cheaper. And then you could also go out and get even more pitching help. You can get another ace, something like that. A lot of people were saying, is he worth it? But I personally think that this is a great, great move for the Baltimore Orioles and actually for Pete Alonso as well. Things in New York right now are weird. I like this fit. He's going to be able to play in Boston a lot. He's going to be able to play at New York, places where he is going to be able to destroy the ball. I would not be shocked if this guy hits 50, 55 home runs next year. So the argument right now that people are, there are some people who obviously don't like Pete Alonso and think he's not a good player, which those people are whatever. But the argument right now is, do you think it's a good signing for the Orioles? Do you think it's going to create a mess for the Orioles? So I want to know what you think about that. Let me know in the comments. But what we do know is that Baltimore told the league, hey, we're done acting broke. We're done hiding behind our young players. We are pushing all of our eggs into one basket right now. We are going to win. We're changing the identity. You're not getting all of our best players anymore. So what do you guys think? Do you think this is going to be a good signing in the long run? Do you think that the Baltimore Orioles will be able to win a pennant with Pete Alonso? Maybe not a World Series because the Dodgers are still in the league, but can they win the AL? Let me know what you guys think, and let me know, do you think this is going to be a benefit for Pete Alonso's career? I think it will be. Again, he gets to play in Yankee Stadium. He gets to play with the Green Monster, and he's a right-handed hitter. He's going to be able to mash the ball, and that's all this division really is. It's just absolute mashers. So, yes, you could say, hey, they need some pitching help. They could still go out and get it right now. But do you think this is going to create a roster logjam where if things don't go right with Pete Alonso, the rest of the team is going to collapse and crumble? Or do you think this is the perfect signing and exactly what the Baltimore Orioles need to win, to change their identity, to help these young prospects around Pete Alonso? What do you guys think? The next You Tell Me segment I want to talk about is about Bill Belichick in college football. It was a very rough year for him, but Bill Belichick is seemingly making moves, and it has people asking, hey, is Bill Belichick actually right for college football, or did he just have a down year because he inherited a bad roster? He didn't have the best offensive coordinators, because what we just learned is Bill Belichick fired his OC. He fired his special teams coach after a 4-8 season. And is this a sign of good leadership from him, or is this a bad sign that it's like a panic move and he's kind of admitting that he doesn't know what he's doing at the college football level? So I'm going to give you the arguments, and you're going to let me know, hey, is Bill Belichick still a good leader for college football, or has his time really passed him by, and maybe he should just be like, hey, I tried it. It's not for me. Because, there are coaches in college football. Some have been very good in college, bad in the NFL. Some have been very good in the NFL, bad in college. It just goes both ways. But their offense this year was 119th in scoring, and somebody has to take the blame for it. And him getting rid of his offensive coordinator, some people were saying, hey, it's the offensive coordinator's fault. Some people were saying it's all his fault. This is his team. He is supposed to be one of the greatest coaches of all time. People were saying some people were saying it's drama. Some people were saying it's just accountability on his part, and he wants to get better as a coach. So Side A says, hey, this is leadership by him, because you can't stand in the front and center in front of your team and, put together this disaster that went on at UNC this year. And I am going to give Bill Belichick a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Yes, there have been distractions this year. Everything with Jordan Hudson and people talking about everything that's going on with him not letting people in the building like scouts and just a lot of outside noise. But people kept saying, hey, Bill's washed. He's only here to cash a check. But if he was doing that, I don't think he would be making these type of moves where he's getting rid of the offensive coordinator, he's getting rid of the special teams coach. Because if anything, he could just be like, I'm the greatest coach of all time. I'm just going to sit back. Whatever happens, happens. I know I got my rings in the NFL. If they don't like it, get rid of me. I'll just cash my paycheck. But no, this is good leadership on his part, people were saying, because he's actually making moves. He's going to go out and find a new offensive coordinator to make this team better. He's actually trying to better himself, better UNC. He's not looking to just cash a paycheck. He's not looking to further the career of his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, which some people say that's the only reason he took this job, was to help put Jordan in a position of power. That's just the alleged thing. Please don't sue me, Jordan, like you're suing Pablo Torre. But I could see where people were saying, hey, this is good leadership. He's still a very good coach. It's just he inherited a bad roster. So I get it. I get where you're coming with that, saying that it's good leadership on his part. Side B for this is people saying, no, this is just him flailing. This is him trying to save his reputation. It's nothing about leadership. It's the fact that he can't stand getting absolutely ridiculed by the media day in and day out. People being like, maybe he should just retire. Maybe this was the wrong move for him. He should have stayed in the media. Again, some coaches don't work out in college football. College football is a completely different game than it is in the NFL. We saw it with Nick Saban. Nick Saban, a great college football coach. He was in the NFL and he wasn't nearly at the level that he is whenever he was at Alabama. Now you take, on the flip side, you take Bill Belichick. Obviously, one of the greatest, if not the greatest NFL coaches of all time. He goes to UNC, and it is an absolute dumpster fire. The second he gets there, people are like, oh my God, this team can win the ACC, which, seeing how the ACC was this year, he definitely should if he was the best coach of all time. But what, again, we're saying is, it's very hard to win in college football when you don't have a college football background. You have a lot more that you have to deal with. You have limited coaching time. You have NIL to deal with. Kids have to go and, it's not just a full-time job for them like it is in the NFL. They got to go to class. They still got to pursue their education. Some guys are going to the NFL. Some guys are not. When you're in the NFL, everybody is a great talent. When you're in college football, there are some position groups that are rough. It's bad. It is absolutely bad. And Bill Belichick is just way over his head right now. He built a bad culture. He inherited a bad roster. He's giving his friends jobs, this whole Michael Lombardi thing. He's apparently going to Saudi Arabia to go get money. This is Bill Belichick flailing right now, just being like, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. I don't know what to do. Somebody help me. Or he's just going to sit back and just, I'll fire everybody, make it look like their fault, and then I'm just going to cash a check. But yeah, some people are saying that college football, they punish the churn and the grind of what goes on where, if things don't work out and you just start firing your offensive coordinators, that's not good because these kids, they have limited time in practice. Now they got to bring in a new OC, learn a new system, and they look to you as the head coach. And when you're just firing guys willy-nilly, it looks bad upon you. So what do you think about Bill Belichick? Do you think that him firing everybody is actually good leadership? He's actually trying to build a good program. He wants to actually have stability within UNC. Or do you think this is just a panic move and he's flailing? Where he's just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. or he's just sitting back and being like, I don't care what happens. I'll just collect my paycheck, make it look like their fault. As long as me and Jordan are here, we're perfectly fine. What do you guys think? Do you think it's good leadership on his part? Do you actually think that it is him flailing and admitting, I have no idea what I'm doing at the college level? The next segment I want to talk about is Right or Cooked, where I go through some narratives that people are talking about, some quotes that people are saying right now. And right now, the biggest narrative going on is that the MLB is rigged. And we're going to talk about, is that actually true, or are people just coping? So people are saying that the MLB is rigged because the Dodgers were able to get Edwin Diaz for 3 years, $69 million. The defending champions of the world end up getting even more help in the bullpen. And listen, I get why it makes people sick. I get why people were like, dude, there needs to be some sort of salary cap within baseball, because this is just a video game right now to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They go back to back, and now they go out and get a top 3 closer in all of baseball. It is insane to me that they are able to do this. But where it comes in is people saying, oh, well, the MLB's rigged, and they kind of, that is, rigged is a very heavy word. Rigged means that the MLB is fixing this to be in their favor. You can say that it's unfair. You can say that there needs to be new systems in place. But to say that the MLB is rigging it for the Dodgers, I think is a little bit weird. A little bit like it's coping. It's basically coping. You know, I get that you're frustrated. Being frustrated is fine. You could be frustrated that the team just won back-to-back World Series and now they're bringing in an absolute dog as a closer. But calling it rigged, I think, is cooked. This is not the right take whatsoever, because it's not rigged, it's not fixed, but it's allowed because of the system. So this take is cooked, and also the MLB's system is cooked. Now, here's the thing that nobody really wants to say out loud is that the Dodgers aren't the villain in this situation right now. They're not. They're playing by the rules. They're allowed to do what they do with Shohei Ohtani, where they defer a bunch of his contract into later years and are only paying him like $2 million per year. They're allowed to win back-to-back World Series and still go out and get a top 3 closer, and who knows, maybe even bring in Tarek Skubal. They're allowed to do that based on the system that the MLB has set in place. They have the money. They're willing to spend the money. Every other owner is able to go out and build a Dodger level type team. There's nothing saying that they can't do that. But fans and owners love to blame the Dodgers, saying, nope, it's rigged. It's a rigged system just for them. Yes, I will say that it benefits them because they're in a big market. And when you have a big market, you have more money. And when you have more money, you could spend more money. And when you can spend more money, you can build a better team. I get that. I get that you want to yell and scream that we need a salary cap in baseball. But again, all of these owners, every single MLB owner is a billionaire. And the Dodgers aren't spending $1 billion every single year. While I'm not saying that teams have to go out and literally put together $1 billion roster and pay out the wazoo in luxury tax, you can be competitive. You can't be like the Pittsburgh Pirates and the A's and cry that, oh my God, the system's rigged and it's unfair, when you're not even trying. So I think that this whole narrative that, oh, well, it's rigged. This system is rigged for the Dodgers, that is cooked. Your owners are living in their fears right now. They got used to being comfortable collecting those luxury tax checks, just sitting back, getting their revenue share, putting it into their own little private islands, whatever they're doing. You can't get mad now that the Dodgers are going back to back. They continued to play the game. You didn't. You just collected a check and sat back. So don't get mad at the Dodgers and saying that the MLB is rigging it for them. They're not rigging the system for them. The Dodgers are playing by the rules. The system is what's cooked. The narrative that you think the MLB is rigging the league for the Dodgers is cooked. But listen, what do you guys think? Do you think that the MLB is actually rigging the system for these big market teams? Not even just the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets, big markets. What do you guys think? Is this the right take that the MLB is rigging this system for these big market teams? Or do you think this is cooked and the owners and the system itself is the real culprit, not the MLB? What do you guys think about all this? Let me know. The final right or cooked I want to talk about is about this goalie swap that we just got today in the NHL. The Edmonton Oilers just traded for Tristan Jarry from the Pittsburgh Penguins. And what people are saying right now is that Edmonton may have actually have solved their goalie problems with this one move. I want to know if this is the right narrative or if this narrative is cooked. So the Edmonton Oilers are bringing back Tristan Jarry back. He played for the Edmonton Oil Kings, so he's going back to Edmonton. And obviously going back to back in Stanley Cup Finals for the Edmonton Oilers, losing to the Florida Panthers. A lot of their issues was on their goaltending, and now they acquire Tristan Jarry. And people are saying that this was exactly the move that they needed to make, and it is going to put them over the top. And instead of just making it to the Stanley Cup Finals, they'll actually be able to win it. So people are saying right now that this is really going to help, and other people are saying, no, this isn't going to help. Yes, like they still have one of the best players in the world in Connor McDavid. They still have Leon Draisaitl. There's still a lot wrong with this team right now. So do you think that this is the right narrative, that Tristan Jarry is going to put them over the top and is going to help them win a Stanley Cup? Or do you think this is cooked? Because, listen, goalies don't come with guarantees. Tristan Jarry has been playing decently well for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, yesterday he had a very shaky game versus the Montreal Canadiens, but he's a very up and down type guy. He's very, he'll have a stretch of games where he looks like the best goalie in the league, and then the one thing that us Pittsburgh Penguin fans remember is him giving the puck away versus the Islanders and us losing that game. What was it, a game 4? I think it was a game 5. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. So where people were saying that this is the right thing for them is that, where people are saying that this is not really going to work out for them is goalie exchanges are never really clean. And goalies are about rhythm. They're about confidence. The timing of when he's getting traded matters. We kind of saw it yesterday where people were saying that the Penguins got thrown off yesterday. There was a big accident in Pittsburgh, and it was a road that a lot of the Penguin players take to get to the arena. And the game was delayed, and people were actually thinking that threw off the timing and the rhythm of what the Pittsburgh Penguins like to do. They get to the arena at a certain time. They do this. We're going to see what happens with Tristan Jarry now, how he's going to be able to adapt to this move, how he's going to be able to adapt to new teammates, how he's going to be able to adapt to, yes, he's familiar with Edmonton, but a new living space and being somewhere for so long. We're going to see what happens when, he's going to get the highest of the highs of cheers from the crowd, being like, oh my God, you're our savior. You're going to be able to help us win a Stanley Cup. How is he going to be able to handle all of that, where there is a ton of pressure on him right now to be the guy to help this team win a Stanley Cup? Because, again, people are expecting him to put them over the top and have them win a Stanley Cup. We're going to see what happens if he gives up one bad goal, 2 bad goals. Is the crowd going to start to get a little bit restless? Are people going to start booing him? Is it going to be a situation where he's like, dude, I can't handle this. I don't want to be the guy right now? Because in Pittsburgh, it was kind of like a little bit of a 1A, 1B situation. They would bring up Murashoff and whenever Jarry was hurt, and then they have Slovis, and they were kind of going back and forth. Now the Penguins are getting Skinner, and it seems right now Jarry is just their number one guy. And there were stretches in Pittsburgh where Jarry was the number one guy, and it was kind of shaky. But when he would go back and forth, when he would split neck time, he was kind of better. So we're going to see what happens with Tristan Jarry if he is able to be the guy, if he can handle all of this pressure of being on a team that has went to back-to-back Stanley Cups and lost back-to-back Stanley Cups, because this is a fan base with Connor McDavid that is jonesing for a championship. They need him to win a Stanley Cup, and we're going to see if Tristan Jarry can actually handle this. So we'll see. Is one bad game going to completely collapse Tristan Jarry, or do you actually think that this is the right narrative, that Tristan Jarry is exactly what they need? Tristan Jarry is the guy that is going to put them over the top. To me, right now, I feel that they were right to make this move. This was a move that they needed to make, but it's cooked that they're going to put all their eggs in one basket with Tristan Jarry. You know, I thought Jarry for stretches was here's what I'll say. I like that the Penguins got Tristan Jarry off of the roster because he does not come with a guarantee that he's going to play good every single night. You don't know with him what you're going to get. If you're going to get a game where he lets in only one goal, or a game where he gives up 4 goals in 5 shots. We've seen both sides from him. Yes, Edmonton needed to make a move to get themselves over the hump at goalie. They definitely needed that. I don't think the Tristan Jarry is going to be the guy to help them win a Stanley Cup. So people saying that this is exactly what they needed and they're going to win a Stanley Cup for this, I think that is a cooked take. What do you guys think? Will Tristan Jarry get the Edmonton Oilers not just to the Stanley Cup Finals, but to win the Stanley Cup Finals? Is it right that this is exactly what they needed, or do you think that this is a cooked narrative and that Tristan Jarry is not the answer for the Edmonton Oilers? Let me know what you guys think about that. All right, another thing I want to talk about is we obviously talked about Pete Alonso and how he obviously is going to the Baltimore Orioles, and you also lose Edwin Diaz as a Met fan, and then you trade Brandon Nimmo, and you bring over Marcus Semien, who's not really a big bat. He's just really a good glove at second base. Met fans, I feel that you are allowed to crash out, but tempered. Because a lot of Met fans are acting like the sky is falling. And yes, you guys fall in love with the faces and the names on the back of the jerseys when the front office is looking at this as a spreadsheet where it's like, hey, we invested all this money. We got Soto, we got Pete Alonso, Edwin Diaz, Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, and we didn't even make the playoffs. Like, it's not working out for us. Let's just kind of reset. So I think that you guys are allowed to be upset and crash out at that, where, yeah, it sucks that you got rid of these guys where, yes, you have their jerseys and you go to the ballpark every single day to watch them play. Where I feel that you guys are overreacting a little bit, you're still the New York Mets. You still can spend a ton of money. And while other teams can, you guys are just in a huge market. There are players that want to play for the Mets because you're in New York right now. But you're acting like the sky is falling and that you're the next Oakland A's or Pittsburgh Pirates or Tampa Bay Rays. You guys are fine on that front. I get that you're frustrated. I get that it sucks that Pete Alonso's gone and all these faces are gone. But you guys need to understand that when you do everything that you did and you built this incredible roster, it looked incredible on paper, and you don't even make the playoffs, something needs to change. Something definitely needed to change. And yes, it's super frustrating as well that like Edwin Diaz is going to the Dodgers and all that, and you basically could have paid these guys, but you're not. Listen, blame the team. Don't blame the front office. I get that you want to blame the front office for getting rid of your favorite players, but you didn't even make the playoffs. And the goal, when you have a payroll that big, that large, that the Mets had, you got to do something if you don't make the playoffs. Like, that's absurd to me. So I get it. You could be frustrated. You could be upset that all of your favorite players are gone, but don't be mad at the front office that they're just trying to make moves to put themselves in a better position. You're not going to turn into the next Pittsburgh Pirates. You're not going to turn into the Oakland A's. You're still going to spend over $120 million. You're still going to have a good roster. Are you going to be able to compete with a team like the Dodgers, the Yankees? Probably not. Probably not. You could be upset with the front office about that, but don't be overly critical that you're blowing it up. Because you know what's going to happen is you're going to get a superstar, more guys that are going to end up being like the next Francisco Lindor, the next Pete Alonso. Give it time. The Mets will be perfectly fine. But I feel, again, you could be upset. They got rid of your favorite players. Sure. You're not turning into the next Pittsburgh Pirates. Temper that. The final thing that I want to talk about is the downfall of Michigan football. And don't tell me that this was just one bad apple. This is not one bad apple, Sharon Moore. No. He was brought up in a culture that Michigan built where it is do anything you can to win a national championship. And they did that. Recruiting violations, cheating scandals. They brought in an absolute pervert, sicko pedophile on their roster who was downloading terabytes and terabytes and stealing pictures of girls in the shower. Like, the guy was a freak. He's now in prison for 10 years right now. Michigan has built a culture of degeneracy, and it got them a national championship. And at the end of the day, I believe that if Sharon Moore would have beaten Ohio State this year and not even made the college football playoff, beat Ohio State, that all of this, every single thing would have been swept under the rug. We wouldn't have even known it would have happened. The people were saying that the only reason that we knew about the cheating scandal was because other teams were catching wind of it, and then they exposed it. Michigan wanted a reason to get rid of Sharon Moore. Sharon Moore was not a good coach. You had to think of it like this. Even without everything that went on, or is going on, I should say, if Sharon Moore got fired just because he was a bad coach, Michigan would have been a one or two type job in the country. Probably LSU and then Michigan. Sharon Moore, on the other hand, wouldn't have even gotten a G5 job as a head coach. He was not a good coach, a good head coach whatsoever. He looked perfectly fine when he was the interim guy for Harbaugh, but that's also because they were cheating as well in the whole sign stealing thing. Michigan looked for a reason. They wanted a reason to get rid of Sharon Moore. And the second that they found out about this whole thing with him cheating on his wife with a staff member and DM and OnlyFans models or whatever in the locker room during the Ohio State game, that was fine with them until he lost to Ohio State. The second he lost to Ohio State, it flipped for them. It's like, yeah, wait, he did this, so we can actually fire him with cause. But had he would have won, it'd have been like, do everything you can to sweep this under the rug. We got to keep it under wraps. The culture at Michigan right now is terrible. This is, I can't say it's Penn State level right now just yet, because what Penn State did was, wow, that was different. That was like crazy levels of what happened at Penn State. But Michigan's getting there right now. In the last 10 years, they've had like 8 people arrested. They've had 11 different like allegations and investigations. Recruiting and sign stealing and now this and the absolute pervert pedophile that they had in the locker room as a coach. Like, there is a lot wrong at Michigan. And at the end of the day, if they would have won more games, if Sharon Moore would have won, if he would have beat Ohio State, we wouldn't have heard a single thing about this. Now, what do I actually think is going to happen with Michigan? Because I know that the biggest name coming out right now is they're going to get Kalen DeBoer. I don't think that they're going to get Kalen DeBoer. While I do think with Kalen DeBoer that There's a lot of pressure on him right now to be the next Nick Saban at Alabama. I still don't think he's going to leave that job. Now, where I think it'd be funny is I think the second, if Kalen DeBoer left, I think the second he leaves, Lane Kiffin would leave LSU in the dust and go directly to Alabama. He would sprint there. He would take the shoe leather express to get to Alabama, in my opinion. Where I actually think they're going to go in terms of head coach, probably like a guy like a Jed Fish, to be honest. I think that is the best fit for them, Michigan-wise. Maybe a Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. I don't think they're going to get the biggest name that they want. I think that they missed that boat. I don't think it's going to be a Penn State level coaching search. Penn State took forever to find a head coach, and they couldn't get anybody. I feel that Michigan is a better job than Penn State. They have more NIL. You got the Oracle guy. You got Dave Portnoy backing you up. But all in all, at the end of the day, Sharon Moore was not a good coach. Sharon Moore is an absolute weirdo, sicko. Just what he did was crazy. But if he would have beaten Ohio State, we wouldn't have heard a damn thing about this. Because that's just how Michigan operates. The only reason they got rid of him was because he was losing. That's it. It wasn't because of these allegations. The allegations were their excuse to get rid of him. And everything that went on with this is just in their mind being like, well, we made the right move. No, you didn't make this move because of what happened. You made this move because of what happened on the field. He beats Ohio State. We hear nothing about this. So that's just my take on that. Michigan is an absolute dumpster program, and they probably should get the death penalty if you ask me. But yeah, that's all we got to talk about today. Thank you guys so much for listening to this edition of the Hail Mary. I appreciate it very much. Check us out on all of our short form platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts. You guys know where to find us. If you want to be involved in the show, if you want to ask some questions, give us some podcast segment suggestions, whatever, stuff like that. If you guys want to hear me talk about a specific topic, make sure you're joining that Patreon. Join the inner circle of Hail Mary Media. Make sure that every single week you are being a part of the show. You're going to get a shout out at the end of every podcast. You're going to be able to ask questions that are going to be read on the podcast. Again, you can give suggestions for segments and things that we talk about on the podcast as well. So thank you guys so much for checking out that Patreon. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and the bell notification. Do not miss out on another episode of the Hail Mary, because if you do, you are an absolute fraud. But I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. I will see you all on Monday. Enjoy football this week. No college football, which makes me absolutely... Well, wait, that's a lie. We got the Army-Navy game. So enjoy that game. Enjoy the NFL. And yeah, have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And I will see you all on Monday to talk about what happened in sports. Peace out, guys. Later.